You're listening to The RealWealth Show with Kathy Fettke, the real estate investor's resource.
What will it take to close the inventory gap in housing? I'm Kathy Fettke, and welcome to The RealWealth Show. Our guest today thinks he's got the solution. In this episode, you'll hear from Galiano Tiramani, who's the co-founder of construction technology company Boxable. He has a bachelor's degree in business and has launched a few other successful startups. And his latest endeavor began with an idea from Dad several years ago. It even caught the attention of Elon Musk. It's basically a 375 square foot pre-manufactured casita that can fold up for delivery. Galiano, welcome to the RealWealth Show. I can tell you that our team is really excited to hear what you have to say because I think everybody wants to run out and buy a $50,000 Boxable. So tell me, what is Boxable?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name's Galiano Tiramani. I'm one of the founders of Boxable, and they are houses. We are setting up a big factory to mass produce a different type of housing.
Well, and you've already had some really good publicity from one of the best marketers in the world. I did read that Elon Musk is living in a Boxable. Is that true?
That's the rumor.
That's the.
I cannot comment. Sorry.
You can't comment. All right. Well, that would be quite a change if it's true. Going from a few mansions into how much square footage is in a typical Boxable?
Yeah, it's been cool. We've gotten, so much press on that, and a lot of people have become aware of the product. Essentially what it is, the first product that we're starting with is a 400 square foot house. So it's about 20 feet by 20 feet with 9.5 foot high ceilings. It's got a kitchen, bathroom, a bedroom, and a couch. We are planning to retail it for $50,000. And one of the cool things that everyone notices, if you want to go to boxable.com, boxabl.com, is that the house actually folds up. And the reason it folds up is so that it can ship more affordably, because that's one of the big reasons why most houses are not built in the factory. Most of them are built on site. So it's very slow and expensive and cumbersome to build something on site by hand in kind of a custom manner, versus everything else, all the other modern products that are mass produced in the factory. And the reason that we are still building houses on site instead of on an assembly line is they're just so big, so they're hard to ship. So that was like the first problem that we had to solve here to make it compatible with the mass production factory assembly line.
So basically, someone orders it and it's brought in a truck and you just unfold it? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, it's we spent a lot of time making things really simple. We've got the bulk of the work done for the building in the factory. So really all you need on site is some type of foundation. Actually, you don't need a foundation, but in most cases, like the local government's going to require it. So you're going to need a foundation, and you're going to need some utilities connection, water, electric, whatever. So essentially, our unit shows up, gets placed on the foundation, it unfolds, the floor comes down, the walls come out, they all lock into place. They connect to those utilities that are ready, prepared on site in advance, and you're done, and you have a house. And that means kitchen, bathroom, flooring, electrical, air conditioning, all of that's done at our factory before it arrives on site. So you go from maybe 7-8 months to build a house to an hour to build a house.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. All right. So zoning appears to be changing in California, allowing residents to potentially subdivide their property and put another property on there. Are you seeing an uptick in phone calls because of this?
Well, just because of kind of the good marketing we've done from the beginning, we've always had crazy amount of phone calls and interest.
Good for you. Love it.
The way things are going in California is very friendly towards what we're doing, and it actually started before what you're referencing. I think is a new law that just came into effect like last week that Newsom signed. But there was even some before that have all being great for us. So the first one was accessory dwelling units. They basically legalized accessory dwelling units in almost every backyard in the whole state. The accessory dwelling unit just means an extra house on the same property. So usually it's like a granny flat, just a small house. And people want to do that because, you have a site that's already developed, a lot that's already developed, you have a backyard, and if you can just throw down a little apartment, a little house there, the numbers really crunch for rentals. Maybe they want to put their family members in there. So that's been a really big one. And that's why we decided to start with the Casita product, because our grand vision is a building system where different size room modules will stack and connect. So the first one that you see on the website is 20 feet by 20 feet. We can also do 20 by 30, 20 by 40. We can do bigger modules with different configurations inside. So maybe one module would be a kitchen only, one would be a bedroom only, and then you can kind of start stacking and connecting and arranging them to build hopefully almost every building type on the planet, 1,000-unit apartment building down to this little Casita. And then, but we thought, how do we start? Let's start with the smallest room module, target it towards backyard ADUs. California, incredibly friendly towards that. They've done things like prohibited the local governments from blocking people from building these. So the state has said to the local governments, you must allow the backyard units. They've reduced setback requirements, a whole bunch of different stuff. And then last week or so, the new rules that they've done now go even further. So now they're letting people, I think, subdivide their lots and do all kind of different stuff. So it's pretty good timing for us.
Yeah, I'm in the Coastal Commission area, and I think that there's still certain parts of California where it's going to be tough to get this through, but I'm not sure. Have you heard anything about that if you're closer to the coast?
I don't know too many details on it. All I know from my perspective is there's so much demand for housing all over and so much need for it.
Yes.
I'm good to go. I think everything we make in this factory will sell out, and we'll just be looking to scale. And in general, the attitude towards increasing housing availability is very positive, and people want to do this. They want to open it up, and that's why these new laws are happening, not just in California, but elsewhere around the country.
Now, does your team work on the permit side of it, or does that have to be done by someone else?
Our goal is just to be the manufacturer of the room module and to sell that to builders and developers to speed up and simplify their process, get all the heavy lifting done for them. But we will have resources on our website where people can get help with permitting, they can get help with financing, and they can get help with finding a contractor to do whatever it is they want to do with the building. And then we'll just focus on cranking out these room modules, and they'll usually be a contractor in between us and the end user who helps with the setup and the permits and all that.
Okay. And are they customizable?
Yes and no. Especially early on, we want to be very standardized and have this very repeatable product so that our manufacturing is efficient. But you can definitely customize them when they get to the field. And eventually, when we have these different modules that connect together, at that point, you kind of have endless configurations. If we had 20 different rooms types, and then you start stacking, connecting them, arranging them, you can kind of get a huge, for the most part, a huge range of buildings.
Okay. But if you wanted to, so let's say I wanted a bigger window, I could carve that out and do it on my own?
Yes. The contractors who install the unit should have no problem doing that. One cool thing about the way our actual buildings work is our innovations go beyond the shipping solution. We've also picked all new building materials and manufacturing methods. So these are not lumber frame houses like you would see traditionally in North America. They don't use pieces of wood and nails. It's a laminated panel system, and that has many, many benefits. But one of the benefits related to what you just said is, you can actually just cut a hole anywhere in the wall, anywhere you want, any shape, and not worry about anything.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, obviously we know that lumber prices have, were insane and then they dropped back down. Were you seeing those kinds of issues on your materials?
Yeah, it's been really crazy time, especially starting a manufacturing startup, all kind of supply chain issues. I think the lumber one was a little bit, kind of tricky because it was more about like futures speculation and trading. So it was just a spike. It went up and down. But overall, everything is going up. There are delays everywhere. You see manufacturing issues at many major companies. We have been buying all kind of stuff to build hundreds of houses and had a hard time getting it. A shipping container from China has gone from 2,000 up to 10,000 or maybe even more. And, pretty much every single supplier we have has hit us with price increases, and it's just total madness. I don't know what happens, but I believe that Boxable is more well equipped to handle it than others because, everyone has to buy the same stuff for the most part. But we enjoy these other efficiencies and benefits by being in the factory and having this simplified product design with reduced components and being able to bulk purchase things because we're building at scale and using automation and using low skilled labor and having an assembly line process. So we believe that like all those principles put us ahead of everyone else who will be still buying the same, piece of steel or toilet or piece of wood.
Now, I know that in LA, there's been initiatives to provide housing for the homeless. And the first round of houses, it's my understanding, it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Have you had cities reaching out for that purpose?
Oh, yeah, I heard about those sheds that they put up that were like 200,000 each or something.
Yeah,
that's pretty hilarious.
Awful. Yeah.
Another story of government waste.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely have had a huge amount of inquiries for every use case under the sun. We've had inquiries from many, many different types of governments all over the place. In fact, our first customer is the government for military-based housing. And I think, the grand plan for us is a very big scale. So like this first factory that I'm sitting in now, it's a 170,000 foot building. It should be able to produce several thousand houses per year, but we need to go way past that with a way bigger factory after we prove the concept here, and hopefully being able to supply that quantity of houses, brings price down for everyone and makes a big impact on the homeless side. It's pretty complicated. It's not really about housing. Housing's a component there, but there's more issues surrounding mental health and drugs.
Of course, yeah. Okay, well, so you're sitting in your factory in Nevada?
Yes, we are in city of North Las Vegas. We have a 170,000 foot building. We moved in here maybe a month ago, and after spending several months setting it up, now we are rapidly hiring people. And actually, the first house is just moving down the assembly line right now. So that's very, very exciting milestone for us.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. So our audience is mostly real estate investors, but a lot of business owners too. Tell me about, how you got here with a concept. There's so many of us who are visionaries and we've got great ideas, but man, making those ideas come true is a whole nother process. So, how did that start? Were you all sitting around having a glass of wine and somebody said, I want a folding house? I mean, whose idea was it?
Well, it's been a pretty crazy journey and pretty quick as well. But basically back in 2017, I was actually living in California. My father had just moved to Vegas, and there's another guy, Kyle. And my father had the idea for the folding house many years before when he built a traditional modular and experienced problems with the wide load shipping, where it was just so ridiculous and didn't work at all. And was not scalable. And so he had the original idea to fold the house up. And then, 2017, I said, hey, what about that folding house idea? Because as usual, I was just looking for ideas and businesses to start and stuff. And then we just dove in and started developing it again and started exploring what the problems were in the market. And, we built a little website and started doing research and testing and development and engineering, and it just got more and more traction. And eventually we got invited to go to the Builder Show, which is like a trade show, one of the biggest ones. we got invited to bring a house to put outside at what they call Show Village, where they have modular houses outside. And we sat down and said, all right, well, we haven't built anything yet. We just have a bunch of drawings. Can we do this? Should we commit to it? And we said, yeah, let's do it. And pulled the trigger and agreed to do it. And then built the first prototypes, went to the show. And from there, just kept going and going. And now we're sitting in a big factory and it's happening.
That's just so incredible. So it's a whole new learning of, okay, you learn how to create the product. Now you got to learn how to hire people and, everything that goes into that process.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good for you. So once you went to the builder show, you had like an initial investor to help you with that prototype?
No, Paolo funded it. It was several $1 million, basically getting us through the R&D and to the point where we had a product that we thought was ready to sell and manufacture. And that came the year after. We got invited to go back to the builder show. The first show, we went with a big house, like a big 1,400 square foot house. And then we said, all right, well, where's a better place to start? And we came up with, let's start with the smallest unit we have. And then the next year we went back to the show with those prototypes and said, all right, we're ready to do it. Let's do a factory. And then started raising money. And really the way I raised money was all through general marketing, sending web traffic to the website and allowing people, anyone or accredited investors to invest through the website. And we've raised all the money to date through that method. And it's basically for the last year, we've been raising money, and that's got us here into this very big factory. So
oh my gosh. So you didn't have to bring in a institutional investor who kind of takes control of things.
Yeah. And I've had many discussions with guys like that, and I still do. And often exactly what you said, they ask for too much. And we love the strategy we've used because we're still in full control. We're calling all the shots, and we now have an army of supporters, cheerleaders who are investors, and hopefully we'll do very well also. And it's really, really great strategy. I'm sure those institutional investors will come into play eventually.
Eventually,
hopefully,
sure.
When they do, I will have much more leverage to shop around and get a better deal.
Oh yeah, good for you. So it's like a 506c kind of
exactly
offering. Yeah,
exactly.
Right. And curious, because we do syndications too. Is it sort of like a convertible note, or?
Well, it is a note, but really it's a fixed share price. The reason it's a note was just as a way to discount the share price, and you can read more about it on the website. But
okay.
The plan of the company is to eventually IPO. So really, we're just selling shares to people, and then hopefully we're very successful, and they eventually get liquidity at a higher share price when we IPO.
Wow. Well, I'm so thrilled I got to talk to you before that happens. It'd be probably a lot harder to get you on the show afterwards. Well, Galiano Tiramani, it's just such a pleasure to have you on the RealWealth Show. I'm certain there will be a lot of our investors calling you to figure out how they can get one of these in their backyard or build a whole subdivision of them. Who knows? But very exciting. All right. Thank you so much. Any last comments, any tips or places that people should find out more about you?
They can definitely go to Boxable.com, Boxabl.com. Check out YouTube. We have lots of videos on there. Social media. We do a lot of ongoing updates. People can also email me directly if they want to. It's g@Boxable.com and also the general inbox hello@Boxable.com, and we'll reply pretty fast.
Great. Well, once again, thank you so much for being here on the RealWealth Show, and wishing you the greatest of success.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining me here on the RealWealth Show. This is an exciting time in history with so much new technology coming down the line. And we'll keep you posted here on the RealWealth Show and on my other podcast, Real Estate News for Investors. Have a great day. I'm Kathy Fettke, and thanks for joining me.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as an offer to buy or sell any securities or to make or consider any investment or course of action. For more information, go to realwealthshow.com.